You couldn't make this up. Labour MP Wes Streeting has issued a warning that language over grooming gangs risks vilifying entire communities and could lead to people committing acts of terror. Why is this government so focused on how words will make certain communities feel? In today's video, we will be taking a look at this interview and reacting, all whilst going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. There is so much to cover in today's video. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Just a quick one to say we do have new One Keer t-shirts available on our website. Go to britishstand.com or check the link in the description. Wes Streeting has issued a warning that language over grooming gangs risks vilifying entire communities and could lead to people committing acts of terror. The Health Secretary cited the 2019 mosque terrorist massacre in Christchurch, New Zealand, that killed 51 people. One of the gunmen had "For Rotherham" written on ammunition, in an apparent reference to child grooming gangs in the Yorkshire town. In an interview with The Guardian, Streeting criticised well-meaning, but ultimately fundamentally misguided and warped views of political correctness for letting down thousands of children. Streeting said, "At the same time, there are people in my community who have either Pakistani heritage or look different, who are now more fearful today than they were before. Victims' voices have been completely marginalised, and I think that's a disgrace. If Kemi Badenoch is in any doubt whatsoever about where irresponsible and coarse public discourse can lead on this issue, look on the other side of the world, in Christchurch, New Zealand, where someone walked into a mosque and killed innocent Muslims, stone cold dead with a gun whose magazine had inscribed on it, 'For Rotherham.' We have to be extremely clear about the failings, the nature of it, and not allow political correctness, fear of stating the truth as it is to fail victims, as has happened before. We must also make sure that entire communities are not tarred with the same brush." This is how people reacted, this user said. What is it that they are so frightened of? It's incredible. Scaremongering. Day after day. First it was labelled as far-right, then political expediency. Now it's mass violence. The idea that the British public are going to listen, given they're already angry over two-tier policing. Wes Streeting has his job cut out on that one. Wes said, Wes held his seat with a majority of 500 votes. He lost over 15,000 votes to a pro-Gaza candidate, in a constituency with nearly 30,000 registered Muslim voters. He cannot upset the Muslim vote. This user said, "Hey Wes Streeting, you utter moron. It is precisely because of this kind of mindset that nothing was done in the first place." Dave said, "The grooming gangs are mass violence." This user said, "An interesting assumption. Why not pursue an independent inquiry and prosecute everyone involved, including those that turned a blind eye or covered up?" This user said, "What about the act of violences against English girls commutes by grooming gangs?" Hassan said, "No Wes Streeting, whether they are Muslim or not, is irrelevant here. This is not about their faith, even though their faith justifies what they are doing. This is about the victims. This is not a Muslim country. We have laws against rape and violence. They should be held responsible and accountable for what they have done, irrespective of their face, ethnicity, etc. This is about the victims. Keep repeating this until you understand it. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments." In other news, drivers have been warned they face higher tax rates after a significant emissions loophole for plug-in hybrid vehicles was closed at the start of 2025. The reform affects the benefit-in-kind tax rates for plug-in hybrid vehicles, which previously were able to receive substantial tax advantages through company salary sacrifice schemes. Under the old system, drivers could benefit from lower tax rates by choosing hybrid vehicles, regardless of their actual use of the electric battery component. The changes to what experts describe as a deeply flawed system mean new hybrids will now undergo more rigorous emissions testing, resulting in reduced tax benefits for company car users. The new regulations introduced last week replace the Euro 6e emission standards with more stringent Euro 6e BIS tests. This change marks a significant shift in how plug-in hybrid vehicles are assessed for tax purposes. Previously, EVs enjoyed favourable benefit-in-kind rates, with most vehicles attracting tax rates of 5%, 8% or 12%. These rates are now set to increase substantially under the new testing regime. The reform aims to provide a more accurate assessment of vehicle emissions, addressing long-standing concerns about the testing system's effectiveness. The impact of these changes is illustrated by the BMW X1X Drive 25e, which will see its benefit-in-kind rate triple from 8% to 24%. For higher-rate taxpayers, this means paying approximately £3,000 more in tax to drive their company BMW this year, showing huge spikes compared to last year. Benefit-in-kind tax is determined by three key factors: the car's P11D value list price, plus VAT, CO2 emissions, and the owner's income tax band, experts explained. While electric vehicles maintain low rates of just 2%, vehicles with higher emissions can face rates of up to 37%. Stuart Masson, of the Car Expert, said the previous testing system had clear flaws that were well known throughout the automotive industry. He told The Telegraph, "Car companies have exploited the testing methods in the last few years to produce plug-in hybrid models with increasingly ludicrous CO2 and miles per gallon figures that exploit tax and subsidy legislation all over Europe." Experts explained that the system allowed manufacturers to take advantage of tax benefits and subsidies across European markets. The lab testing regime for plug-in hybrids has always been deeply flawed, which is no secret and would be obvious to anyone who's ever picked up a car brochure, Masson added. Meanwhile, Matt Walters, from car leasing firm Avons, suggested these changes could accelerate the move away from hybrid vehicles. This may push plug-in hybrids out of favour faster than expected as employers and drivers alike shift towards fully electric vehicles to avoid future tax rises, he said. But the industry is already seeing signs of this shift in company car schemes. "We're also noticing that PHEVs are slowly being phased out of salary sacrifice schemes," Walters added. But Masson warned that most drivers will be concerned that they are now going to be paying more tax. The changes meant their next plug-in hybrid model is likely to be significantly more expensive to own and run than their current car, he stated. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. I want to quickly say thank you for all the recent support on the channel. We are growing really fast and are now getting closer to our goal of 200,000 subscribers. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.